Today, through this exclusive TV offer, you can get 12 fascinating issues of Zoo.
Hi, I'm the Thesterninator. Welcome to the channel. And today we're turning more Disney characters into Pokemon. In our last video, we looked at the concept of... Oh! Hi, YouTube algorithm! It's been a long time. How are things? You want me to do more glitch production stuff as Pokemon? Listen, I can't do another Murder Drones video. I already did one. I can't do it again! Oh, so there's like a new show put out by Glitch? Oh, I can absolutely do that. Why didn't you start with that? Okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and get started on that. I'll see you at the work lunch on Wednesday. Tell the wife and kids I sent my love, and I'm gonna start back on the video. Cool? So today we're taking a look at Glitch Productions' new show, The Gaslight District. Glitch has this amazing reputation for turning things that are fearful into these amazing shows, whether that be the idea of religious allegory with murder drones, or the concept of existential dread with the amazing Digital Circus. If you haven't seen either of those shows, I highly suggest you check them out. The amazing Digital Circus is my personal favorite. But today, we're going to be looking at the Gaslight District. Brand new show that has so many interesting characters. Just the model of these characters was enough to get me to look at and say, hey, we should absolutely turn these into Pokemon. While we're going in kind of blind, it feels like that's somewhat the challenge. So without much further ado, let's hop into today's video. Hi, I'm the Thesterninator, but my mom calls me Stern. Welcome to the channel. While you're here, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff that makes me and YouTube happy, and on to the video. Yeah, we don't know a ton yet about the Gaslight District, apart from that I apparently know a few people who live there. What we do know is that the show is being produced by Glitch, the same group behind the amazing Digital Circus, now on Netflix, and Murder Drones. But the crew behind this new and exciting series may still seem a bit familiar to you, starting with show creator Nick Zopko, who was a 3D and visual development artist behind a few episodes of Hell of a Boss. So this show is really gearing up to be a collaborative effort of the two series that have a stranglehold on me and my channel. Luckily, Pikachu would never hurt me like that. Other creator credits include Kevin and Luke Lerdwichigal, who worked on the beloved SMG4 or Super Meme Guardian 4 with their latest release in April 12th of this year? Hold on, how are these guys busier than me putting out fantastic content at the same time as their other show dropping, what, a week and a half after Silence of the Cats? At any rate, with just the wiki to go off of, a wiki curated by Luke and Kevin, by the way, let's take a look at turning the fabulous four main characters of this new series into Pokemon. And let's see just how close we get, being that, again, the show drops tomorrow as I record this, and earlier today as it comes out. First up, I want to focus on a character by the name of Mud. Mud has been theorized by many to be the series' antagonist, but our wiki shows him as just a member of the Smiling Dead, same as our other main characters. He has an oozy appearance which only further emphasizes his name. I would assume that his name and look are a reference to the phrase, "your name is Mud," which means someone who is untrustworthy or discredited. Many believe that the phrase originated with Dr. Samuel Mudd, an associate allegedly of John Wilkes Booth in the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. You know, the guy on the penny? But while that was an interesting coincidence, the phrase was actually in use long before that. This would normally have no bearing on a character, but the Glitch team and its writers tend to lean heavily into these lore studies. So who knows what we can see from Mud? What I do know is that I wanted to capture the slimy type of feel as well as that mafioso vibe that this guy is putting out hard. And so I combined that ooze with this long trench coat and face peeking out from under a trilby. I wanted this Pokemon to feel like if Looker melted. Sorry Virgo, it's out of my hands. So bringing these aspects into play and trying my hardest to steer away from muck in a trench coat, we created something that I'm hoping captures the essence of Mud as this skeevy and plotting type of character. The biggest challenge was figuring out a unique body style. You see, I decided that I didn't want to go completely slime-oriented and instead wanted something that almost felt like a container with this leaking ooze. So I went with the idea that while the primary Pokemon is a slimy, the body itself would be a hard-shelled type material, almost like a snail in a shell. It also let the design feel organic, while having a mashup of textures and shapes. And much like the actual Mud character, I wanted these bony bits to kind of peek out and offer further difference to the rest of the body. So the slime creates this trenchcoat type of look, while the actual body hovers over it. Part of the fun of these designs is using shapes in areas not normally associated with these textures to create the illusion of what is familiar, and so slime coat type of thing came to be. Meet Manuzi, the Mud Pokemon. The name is a combination of man and ooze while utilizing that oozy term, since it was a type of firearm associated with mobsters back in the day, as well as the name of Glitch's other franchise, Murder Drone's main character. This Pokemon believes itself an expert at ambush techniques, but can easily be tracked by the trail of slime that it leaves as it moves. This slime is believed to be good for the skin and can be purchased by therapeutic centers at a high price. So the question is, how to talk about this next character while maintaining my ad revenue? Because how do you get around the look, the design, and the name of Ken the Butcher? Ken is the deuteragonist of the series according to the wiki, and is actually the leader of the Smiling Dead. He boasts a muscular physique, and in his promotional material is surrounded by flies. I used this as inspiration for the design in making him. Almost a mosquito housefly type of look, while trying to stay away from Buzzwole territory. Luckily, his greenish hues offered me a new palette to play with. While looking into these promotional designs, by the way, I noticed something interesting that may have already been touched upon in the series. I'm recording this the day before release, so let me know in the comments what I go awry on and what I happen to get close to. So I realized that Ken's promotional material revolved around flies, with Mud's having some soldiers in the background. Melancholy Hills had a vulture, and Breadhead... We'll get to Breadhead, but each seems to be a reference to one of the horsemen of the apocalypse. Flies for pestilence, a vulture for death, army of war for conquest, and Breadhead actually has nothing in the background, but he as a whole makes me think of famine. We'll explore the rest as we move into their looks for the video, but I felt like there was something more beyond these designs. And, as I'd said before, Glitch doesn't skimp when it comes to lore-based designs. But moving us back to Ken, I noticed one of his arms is flayed, and so I took that inspiration for the arms of this buggy Pokemon. Of course, too, I had to include the hatchet stuck in his head as a key component to the character. I'd also initially went with using a proboscis-style mouth, but that smile.
That damn smile.
It's so unnerving that I had to include it. He almost reminds me of that character Heimertz from the old show Edgar and Ellen. Just that overall creepy vibe that this guy fully revels in his gruesome work. The arms I brought in as these bulbous blood sacs while using them alongside the body shape to give this slight illusion towards the head of a housefly. Ultimately, I really like this design. It's just a shame that it's associated so much with a terrifying creature. Giving him 4 wings felt like a little bit of a stretch, but is a reference to the weapons that Ken stores on his back, while also feeling like they could be used as blades for the hacking and slashing. So more is always merrier. Meet Cleedle, the Razorback Pokemon. This name is a combination of cleaver and beetle, so we have a few insect inspirations going on at the same time with this design. Coming across this Pokemon is a rarity, as it quickly decimates the population of its surrounding area. It delights in knowing that it is the most dangerous Pokemon around. However, to befriend one would mean adding a terrible and powerful Pokemon to your team. Now on to our next character, Breadhead. He's just bread. How do I make bread into a Pokemon? How do you turn this into this? Yes, I know Darkspun exists and food-based Pokemon are hardly out of the ordinary, but when I have to also remain in some capacity true to the original concept of the character, who is just bread, then how do we even start? I started by trying to create a base to work off of. I thought about maybe going the side of a rhino or other quadrupedal animal, but decided that that would be going a bit too far from the buy-in of the character. So I ended up going at least partially bipedal. I had this thought though about how Breadhead appears to be the muscle of the group. I mean, you can't really tell from the group shots or the individual images, but when you see them all side by side, he is massive. And so I wanted to give something that emphasizes that. Of course, I brought in these croissant shapes
Are you going to finish that croissant?
to give some girth to this bad boy, and brought in a plain sourdough to the main torso. A lot of this design would come down to the texture and some key bread-based aspects, like scoring of the dough to give some patterning to the whole structure. I picture this Pokemon able to sit and wrap its arms in front of itself to look like your typical giant pile of giant bread, and giving him that blank stare just adds to the feature that there's nothing going on in that loaf of a brain. One of my favorite parts are the hands and their grubby little fingers. They detract from the croissant look, sure, but not in any way that I think removes the inspiration. And those doughy little legs give just a bit of cuteness, as I can picture this thing tripping over itself, falling face first onto the floor. The 5-second rule was enacted, of course, and still applies. That would actually be a really fun name for an ability. So, as I ask in most of my videos, let me know what abilities you think this Pokemon, as well as the others in this video, should have. Maybe it's a new one, or maybe you make up one that already exists to apply to this Pokemon. My special challenge for this one in particular is that this Pokemon's ability is 5-second rule. What is your translation of that ability? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to talk more about Pokemon, Fakemon, Five Nights at Freddy's, Minecraft, or the Gaslight District, then make sure to join our Discord down below. Meet Paindle, the savory Pokemon. The name is a combination of pain, French for bread, and dull, both for the idea of dulled pain, which we get to kind of double dip with that first half of the name being pain as well, and dull, you know, like his expression. These Pokemon can often be tracked by the sweet-smelling aroma that they give off. They love to sit around warm rocks and furnaces, but will gain a darker coloring if they sit for too long. They are a delicacy in other parts of the world. And finally, we have our primary protagonist, Melancholy Hill. Nope. The algorithm won't allow that. Melancholy Hill, or Mel for short, seems to derive her name from the Gorillaz song featured on their album Plastic Beach. The name has such a flow to it. I actually went in researching other times that the phrase came up, or the origin of the term, and weirdly enough, the Gorillaz came up with it, or at least brought it into the public media. So Mel seems to be inspired by another greenish character leading a band of misfits. Now, we don't know a ton about Mel apart from her placement in the Smiling Dead gang. She seems to wear an outfit of bandages which bear a stark contrast to her greenish blue skin and that bright orange hair. So I went in with something pretty simple design-wise. I thought about this Pokemon that was humanoid and had these humanoid characteristics, and is similarly wrapped in bandages, using these wraps as arms to make them increasingly more dangerous. I took the reddish hair as a primary point here to similarly contrast the bandage's white color. I brought in Darkrai and Axelgore as inspiration for the look, given Axelgore's bandaged look and Darkrai's face shape, given Mel's use of either bandages or scarf to hide her own face, and a similarity there to how Darkrai's body thing collar hides its face. The design is simplistic, but I feel it starts to get the point across. With a main character like Mel in Gaslight District, Freddy in Five Nights at Freddy's, or Pomni in Amazing Digital Circus, I want to make something that feels further planned out and looks like a mascot style type of Pokemon. Something that you can see as a threat when facing an Elite Four member, but also has a friendliness to it. I'm excited for the Gaslight District, and to see where Glitch and Nick Zopko are able to take the characters. Mel is also voiced by Alana Fitzgerald, who played Sin in the Murder Drones.
Dropped this. Silly.
So, while this show will be new and have to earn its audience, there's this sense of familiarity to the cast, as well as the crew, as well as the animation style itself. Pretty much across the board, this series feels like a buildup of so many talented creators, writers, actors, and animators that we've gotten to see take over the internet in the past few years, and justly so. Hell of a Boss, Has Been Hotel, Murder Drones, Amazing Digital Circus, and now the Gaslight District all feel like they hold a special place on the podium of modern animation. And so, I would like for you to meet Melancholy, the Melancholy Pokemon. The name comes from Mal, meaning bad, Melancholy, for which the name is inspired, and call, like the call of sirens who would lead sailors to their watery depths. I do have to say, I kind of have sirens on the brain. If you ever tune into our Wednesday live streams, which I do every Wednesday, one of the ones that we had recently was a siren-based Pokemon for a good friend of mine, Siren Shadows, who streams on Twitch. Check them out. This Pokemon was once seen as a dark omen of tragedy to come, but in modern times has been adapted into the teams of powerful trainers. Their bandages serve as an unknown number of arms that can strike quickly and fiercely. So there you have it. Have you watched the Gaslight District yet? And if so, then who is your favorite character? Let me know down in the comments. Give me a little sneak peek at what I have to look forward to. And which of these Pokemon would you add to your team? Don't forget to check out the Patreon to get access to high-res images of these and Pokemon from other videos. Or become a YouTube member to get these videos early and help me to build an army devoted towards saving Sizzler, a restaurant that I love and fear will soon become no more. The buffet is okay, and their atmosphere is okay, but it holds a special place in my heart for some unknown reason. You would also get access to our monthly giveaways, all for just $3 a month. And with all that said, it sounds like you know where to find me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye! Hey, before we go, I want to give a shout out to all of the people who help make these videos possible. Big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters, those being Sean, Elandriel, Sky, Yuji Sakaki, Lex Wright, Drake Null, Jeremy Sunday, Cam Nor Shorter, Justin Grenier, Siren Shadows, Daniel, Kaylin Cat, Soren Frost, Styx TV, and Dan Bush. And a big McThankies from McSpankies to all of our YouTube members, those being Lynxia, Raijuno, Sigil Sealed, Zed Ravenmore, Siren Shadows, Somni Stars, Kaylin Cat, and Crimbo McSwizzle. Really couldn't do any of this without all of my supporters and people who really just love the content, so thank you. If you can't support, one of the best things that you could do for the channel is leave a like. It does so much more than you know, helps me in the algorithm, and helps people know that these videos exist. So I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.